Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May the Lord protect us, may He nourish us, may we acquire the capacity to study and understand the scriptures. May our study be brilliant and may we not cavil at each other. Om peace, peace, peace unto us all. Om Shri Sai Ram. Welcome everyone to Sathya Sai Baba Center of Arcadia. Both our online and devotees here gathered. We were discussing last week the study guide that was sent out on the names, the 108 names of our Swami Bhagawan Sri Sathya Sai Baba, called Ashtotra Shatanamavali. So the study guide supposed to have they're going to have 66 sections, basically divided by 18 names. The first study guide was sent out, I think sometime in December, right? Don't remember that date, but then we took upon that and discussed. I think the first two names we discussed. Om Shri Sai Bhagawan Sri Sathya Sai Babaya Namaha. Om Shri Sai, we always add the nama, the name is Bhagawan Sri Sathya Sai Bhagawan Sathya Sai Babaya Namaha. That's we discussed last week. We also explained about, dwelt on what is Bhagawan means, who can be called Bhagawan. Anybody cannot be called Bhagawan, but somebody who has those 6 qualities. So, Bhaga means opulence, who has that 6 treasures. Sathya Sai Babaya Namaha. We discussed the divine mother and father, and also being awareness, bliss, Atma. Sai means see always inside. So that is what we talked about, and there in the explanation it also talked about the famous verse from Bhagavad Gita, whenever the dharma declines, but Swami explained very clearly, practice of dharma declines, the Lord appears, and that's how our Lord also appeared. The practice of dharma was the lowest from the 1926, and so he came. And then the second name also we discussed, Om Shri Sai Satya Swarupaya Namaha, the very form of truth. You're going to see this Satya all over the place. This there are a lot of names, 1008 names of Vishnu. We have Lalita. We have everywhere you can see Satya is very prominent, and also every deity, the foundation is Satya. But what I found a little bit is that our 108 names of Swami, that's pretty much, you have to count how many names has that Satya attached to it. So that means it clearly tells how much our Swami is giving importance to the truth. So it is the very form, he is the very form of truth. So we are looking at each nama, the first name, second name, it's first about the form. It's again talking about the form. Form is always considered as a manifestation. But Satya, where is the manifestation? So unmanifest. Satya is truth. How do we? So it's form of truth. And it's explained how truth is, what truth is. Trikala Badhya Satyam, which is in the past, present, and future, it doesn't change. That's one explanation of truth. If we just go into truth alone, we can go read, and that one name itself is enough. That much one can explain. And truth in every religion is very much, an important. It is the foundation, and you can see from in Christianity also the same thing. I talked about Jesus as well. What happens? The Pilate asks and what he says, and also when the chief priest asks, "Is the truth?" and the truth is that he and his Father are one. He boldly says, even though he's going to be taken to the he will be put to death, he's not worried about it. He tells the truth. So that is about. We will read the other each name, whatever we can do. I think if we do even 3 names, it's great. So why don't we start reading the third name, and then what is the explanation given, the questions, and then we can discuss back.
Sairam. The third stotra here. Om Sri Satya Dharma Parayanaya Namaha. Salutations to Sri Sai, who is wholly devoted to truth and righteousness. Bhagawan Sri Sathya Sai Baba repeatedly emphasizes the importance of Satya, truth, and Dharma, righteousness, in his teachings. These 2 principles are the pillars of a virtuous life and are essential for personal and societal well-being. Baba encourages individuals to lead lives grounded in truth and righteousness, thereby fostering love, peace, and unity in the world. By embodying these principles, individuals not only elevate their own spiritual journey, but also contribute positively to society, promoting a culture of integrity and compassion. Truth is not merely the absence of falsehood, but is a profound commitment to purity and unity of thought, word, and action. Living in alignment with truth leads to inner peace and spiritual growth, as it fosters authenticity and sincerity in relationships and interactions. Dharma, on the other hand, refers to the ethical and moral duties one has towards oneself, others, and the universe. Adhering to Dharma is the only means to cultivate harmony and justice in society. Everyone has a unique role in the cosmic order, and fulfilling one's Dharma is crucial for the greater good. And the highest expression of righteousness is truth. Satyanashti Paradharma. There is no higher Dharma than truth. So just some questions here. First question. What will I do to strengthen my commitment to purity and unity of thought, word, and deed, and thus contribute to the greater good of society? And then secondly, the decline of Dharma is the reason for man to lose his peace and happiness. How far is this true? How can we muster courage to lead a righteous life?
So, Om Shri Sai Satya Dharma Parayanaya Namaha. Just saw Satya Swarupa, a very form of truth. And then now again another Satya Dharma Parayana. Parayana means he is the supreme object of devotion. He's the object of devotion. That means now Satya and Dharma is put in place. The way to explain is this. So whoever is devoted to Satya and Dharma, they can see his true form. They can see the true form. One way of looking at it. So that means who practices every moment, not even daily, every moment, Satya and Dharma. So these two words, Satya and Dharma, again, we are going to see quite a bit, but Dharma, we already had several discussions. Dr. Reddy has elaborated several times. So you have YouTube channels to actually go, and that itself will become a study circle. So Dharma is usually is translated as righteousness, but it's finally understand, in a way to understand is, it's also given here, satyam nasti paro dharma, practicing truth. There is no greater dharma than practicing truth. It is a Vedic saying as well. Practicing truth itself is the greatest dharma. There is no dharma beyond that. And whoever is practicing, then he is the object of devotion. That means the supreme object of devotion. That means whoever practices this, they will have that vision, that form, that name, which is being represented here, which is our Sathya Sai. So it's a very beautiful, each one name, whenever we are chanting, if we can actually dwell into it, it's so beautiful. So when I came and sat here, just a few moments I was looking at our Swami. You know, there are so many people, sitting there and watching Swami. We see in the darshan. So each one has their own, how they see him. There could be a difference in how we see and what we understand of him. He's the same Swami, but we understand him in different levels of what he allows us to understand. But the fundamental Satya and Dharma is not going to change if you understand truly. So that is one way to see and look at it. It can be interpreted in this way also. Satya Dharma is so devoted. He actually speaking, whoever is devoted to Satya and Dharma, he is devoted to them. You can see in that sense as well. Why I'm saying is that he loves Satya and he is basically embodiment of Satya and Dharma. So whoever is practicing that, he is going to be very happy with them. So in both sense, this way you can say as a devotee, looking at he is the supreme object of devotion, Satya and Dharma. Or in another sense, if we practice Satya and Dharma, our Swami will be in complete happiness with that person. And that is also true. So it is one thing. Another thing to look at it is Atma Dharma, which always Dr. Reddy talks about. And that is the Satya. Atma Dharma, the realization of the self. That is nothing other than him. That is the truth. The real truth and Dharma. The Vishnu Sahasranamam also, it is talked about Dharma quite a bit. And the first question itself, when Dharmaraja, who is the embodiment of Dharma, who practices Dharma, he is asking his grandfather, Bhishmacharya. Bhishma is on the bed of arrows. He's fallen, but basically at that time, but he has that boon that he can die whenever he wants. So he was waiting for an auspicious time. Wants to give up the body, but he wants to wait for the auspicious time. Meanwhile, the Pandavas, of course, the eldest is Dharmaraja. He's listening to all the dharmas that Bhishma is actually telling. They are all listening. Then finally, he got, Dharmaraja says, "No, I listened everything. Ko dharma sarva dharmanam bhavatah paramo matah." Tell me what is the supreme dharma, what I have to practice. Then for that there was an answer given by Bhishma. Eshame sarva dharmanam dharmo adhikato matah yadbhaktya pundarika. So you have that bhakti, the devotion for the Lord. He uses the word Purusha also, who has the pundarikaksham. The actual, if you are devoted to the Lord Narayana or Vishnu, who's basically Krishna sitting, with who's near them, if you have the supreme devotion for him, Bhishma says that is the highest dharma. Why he is saying that is because when we have that kind of devotion to the Lord, you cannot be untruthful. Because the Lord is truth, so you would be practicing truth. So we can see from that perspective also. This name has a lot of meaning to it. We can go on. For the questions, practically people can share some thoughts on it. How do we practice unity of thought, word, and deed? Swami has given a lot of methods. Just meditations, soham. It is the way of how we live. So it's a constant presence that we think about him. There's another thing about declare. So it's also how to not to lose this peace and happiness. So how will it help? How can we muster courage to lead a righteous life? If we are with him, we will be righteous and we will be practicing. In the organization, I think the most important thing is to just simply follow his instructions and teachings. There cannot be any better Satya and Dharma, and that will lead to unity of thought. But indeed, any other comments, any stories?
Sairam, I think in this reading here, a couple of things really struck me. I think this statement that truth is not merely the absence of falsehood, but is a profound commitment to purity and unity of thought, word, and action. I think when we think about the unity of thought, word, and action being a manifestation of just how committed we are to truth, it really shows the presence of divinity within everything. And that is the ultimate truth, the oneness and the interconnectedness. I am curious if anyone has any thoughts on the second question. The decline of Dharma is the reason for man to lose his peace and happiness. How far is this true, and how can we muster courage to lead a righteous life?
So one way to look at it is that the moment we are not dharmic, I already said last time itself we talked about how the conscience is going to come back and just disturb your peace, because Lord is everywhere and He's in you, He's in our heart. If we are not righteousness, because our true nature itself is to be righteous. We have to be righteous. But if you are trying to do something not correct, automatically the Lord in us is going to come and question, and then the purity and it's disturbed. Your unity of thought, word, and deed is disturbed. So naturally, we cannot do wrong things. Actually speaking, forcibly we are doing wrong things. It's because of the problem with our the senses. The 10 senses are the one which is basically, that's why Swami is talking about the control of senses. Control of senses. The moment we have those control of senses, then we will not be, our mind is not going to subdue and give up and become selfish and do things which is not right. The moment we become selfless, what happens is we are going towards the truth, and we are with the Lord. And if we are with the Lord, we are truthful and righteousness, and then unity of thought, word, and deed automatically happens.
About being authentic.
Yes.
And the authenticity, I think, in this human birth is really coming from a place of love and compassion, and then following that.
Absolutely.
That power. I also always think about Dharma. I've been reading the Rama Katha Rasa Vahini, and I think it's a really beautiful story that Bhagawan wrote of Lord Rama's and Lord Rama, and just the whole conversation when Lord Rama is what he knows he has to go to the forest. And how everyone is just upset and angry, just like, a very human response. But of course, he, even as an avatar, has this devotion to the word of his father. Which, if this is what my father wishes, then I will do it. Even if it's not the most fun thing. And I think when we think about dharma and dharmic action, sometimes it's not always pleasing to the senses or the most pleasant and pleasurable thing we can do, but it may be what's the right thing for us to do at that time for our own benefit. And I think that's where dharma and truth kind of intermingle. So a lot of this last question about losing peace and happiness, I think sometimes when we have this idea that everything, peace and happiness really comes from external validation and external forces, that's when it's hard to stick to dharma, or it's hard to stick to satya. But once we follow that dharmic path, which is the truth, right? That is probably the best way. That's where your courage to lead a righteous life comes from. And it's funny the way they worded this, mustering up the courage. I think the fact that we're all sitting here gives us a lot of courage to do the right thing and make the right choices.
Yeah, so very touched upon Sri Rama, because he's considered as a Ramo Vigravahan Dharmaha. He's the embodiment of truth, the form of dharma, righteousness. Whatever he does is righteous, that's all. Of course, God, anything he does is righteous. So it is the most important thing to understand is several stories in Ramayana. You can see in every single step how Sri Rama is whatever the human thinking and what's the divine thinking. We can always say, it's normally what a human thinks, how we want to do is it's not appropriate immediately. Suppose such a thing happens, the father is supposed to give the throne to, and it's already decided, everything is ready, he has to get it. But then, because the queen asked for her son to be coronated, so then what to do? And he is telling, he's not even saying go to Dasharatha is not actually saying go to the forest. He's silent, the mother is telling. But then, even then, he took clearly the instruction, it is from his father, because he's not able to say no to that, what she said. So he took that itself as his command and he goes. So how many people will really think of doing it? And we can see how he's doing. So that's why he's divine. He's doing it. But again, if you say divine and if you don't follow his dharma, then it's not correct. So many situations is going to happen like that. Hey, I will. If you do this kind of thing, you're going to get some big benefits, but it may not be truthful. Would you do it or not? Then somebody who is married to truth and dharma, they will not do it. So come what may, I will just follow Swami's teachings and will not do it. But there is always a threshold. Some people might do it and then they regret it. That's a human aspect of doing things. The moment we do wrong things, it definitely not going to be unity of thought, word, and deed, and we will not be. There won't be purity. There won't be happiness. Needs a mic. Yes.
They were talking about how the firefighters went to a assistant home and picked up the patients and went took out, even though they knew they could be burned. And I think that is a very good example of dharma, because they could have said, "That's not my job," and walked away, but they didn't. They actually picked up the patients and took them out, even though. And some of the firefighters apparently were not even on duty that day. They were trying to save. I think that's in a local.
No, it's a very important thing. It's a very practical thing you're saying, because the moment somebody thought that even though I am burnt, I'm not bothered about it. I want to help others and go and help them. But as if, and it's their job and duty and they did it, no question. That is the righteousness, really. Very, very touching. The stories are really.
Yeah, I remember when Hurricane Katrina came through New Orleans, and I was living in Houston at the time. So a lot of folks who evacuated New Orleans came to Houston. And so a few of us would go and volunteer and just help sort out donations and maybe meet with folks. And a lot of them would volunteer as well, even though they were in kind of a precarious situation where they're basically living in either it was the convention center or the Astrodome, but they still came and they also helped and did as much as they could. A lot of folks took in kids that they didn't know because these kids got separated from their parents. So when you
right now, I find there when I can, and they have victims actually the victims actually volunteering there, just sorting things, stocking goods so the people can come and get some.
No, that's a very, very practical, whatever you said. You can tell all kinds of things, but that is more touching, really. The stories. We'll go to the next one. At least two. The most important, because we all want some boons.
Sairam. Om Sri Varadaya Namaha. Salutations to Sri Sai, who is the bestower of all boons. Bhagawan Sri Sathya Sai Baba is the bestower of all boons, embodying the qualities of compassion, love, and wisdom. He has the divine ability to grant blessings and fulfill desires, positioning him as a guiding force in the spiritual journeys of all who have surrendered to him. His role as a bestower is rooted in the unconditional love, which is his divine essence. Jesus Christ said, "Ask, and it will be given to you. Seek, and you will find. Knock, and it will be open to you." From Matthew 7:7. Bhagwan Baba also assures everyone that he will respond to those who earnestly seek him. He encourages individuals to approach him with sincerity, devotion, and devotion, assuring them that their prayers will be answered in accordance with their spiritual growth rather than mere material desires. He teaches that true boons extend beyond physical or material fulfillment. They encompass spiritual enlightenment, inner peace, and the realization of one's true self. Through his numerous discourses and interactions with devotees, he emphasizes that the ultimate boon is the awakening of love, leading to a deeper understanding of one's purpose in life. I give you what you seek in order to make you seek what I have come to give you, realization itself. This perspective fosters a journey of deeper understanding that true happiness and fulfillment come only from within. Material desires can serve as stepping stones leading us toward the higher aspiration of realizing our oneness with the universe and the divine. Baba's life demonstrates the importance of service to others as a path to receiving blessings. Through various charitable initiatives and educational programs, Sai Baba's legacy lives on, helping people across the globe. Thus, as the bestower of all boons, he represents a profound source of inspiration, reminding everyone that true fulfillment comes from love, service, and the quest for truth. So the reflection questions. Number 1, how will I strive to grow in unconditional love, my divine essence, and assist in awakening divine love in others, which is the ultimate boon? And 2, would a boon wishing for all opportunities to simply serve humanity be something that one can ask for? Will it be meaningful for someone to pray for such a boon? So when I was reading this earlier, it kind of reminded me a little bit of my dad's journey. He was originally quite skeptical of Bhagwan. I remember my mom and my brother and I went to a retreat in St. Louis, and he was not too supportive of that. Even told us that the FBI would be watching us to be careful, all these things. So he slowly kind of, started to warm up a little bit. And then my family went to Puttaparthi. I didn't go, but they went. What year was that? I want to say it was 1999. Yeah, 1999, I think. And my mom and my brother were there. And then Bhagwan called everybody for an interview. It was my mom and my brother, and then my aunt, my mom's younger sister, and her family. So they called my dad. He was staying in Hyderabad at the time, and they said, you need to get here because Swami called you all for an interview. So I think he took the red-eye bus from Hyderabad to Puttaparthi. He basically stepped off the bus. They kind of just pushed him into the shower. They're like, just take a bath, get ready, because your Swami called you guys for today. So they all went. I don't know the ultimate details of their interview, but I know Narendranath uncle isn't so fond of all these materializations. I also am kind of like, I don't really focus on it too much, but he did materialize a ring for my dad. And I think my dad was probably the first one in our extended family, even though my grandfather had been a longtime devotee who actually got a piece of jewelry that was materialized from Bhagwan's hand. And I think that was kind of his little, door that had opened. And it's like, I'm going to open this door for you. And if you choose to go through it, okay. So with time, I think my dad became a little more open and really warmed up, and now has really become quite devout in his 81. And I think this is the time when most people become very, very devout spiritually. But it started with that ring where it really kind of opened that door for him.
That's a very nice story. That's how it does. he does one thing and to catch. So he just throws some bread pieces, and then people will just take it, and Swami will. Then it is most important is to expand and grow, and then grow, and finally you reject everything and you want only him. So that is the ultimate varada, that boon that we all need. That's what he says, I will give you whatever you want, but finally you will ask for what I have come here to give to you. Again, we can go on and on. The most important thing is this giving boons is something very common in any religion. They will always, you can say, Jesus also started doing some, okay, I give you this, I give you this. And our Swami, Shirdi Sai, Lord Krishna, any avatar, you can see that first immediately they will have to give to get attention first, so that you would listen to them what they are saying. So that tells us that most often return on benefits is what it works. So I need to get this, otherwise I'm not interested in you, right? So we are all working very hard in our jobs because we're going to get our salaries the month. Otherwise, are we going to work freely? No. So the point what I'm making is that he uses the same thing that we like, which is smaller things, smaller boons, so that we realize at a point that we are tired of this business, to do business with God. I mean, this is like a business, right? You want something, you give something, and then want. He is also not tired. He's just waiting for a time to come to a situation that I don't want anything. Oh Lord, I just surrendered to you. Make me your instrument. Just work through me. I don't need anything. So that you are everything for me, and that's enough. Because you won't even ask for him, because you are already always with him. He is going to be with you. You are in his thought all the time. You are thinking about him all the time. There is no need for anything else. So you revel in that name. Finally, you are first of all tired of everything. You detach yourself. Finally, you have come to a situation that I cannot live. It's like a fish, you take it and put it out of the water, it's not going to live. So you have felt that way, and then you now realize that he's going to be with you all the time. So when he is going to be with you all the time, what is the point in even asking anything? Because he is embodiment of everything. So it's like a step-by-step process to get to that level that we will realize. But it always starts with a small thing. So how you will grow unconditional love, the step-by-step process of finally there is no give or take. Opportunities to simply serve humanity. Serving humanity is somehow you're going to be selfless. So you're learning to be selfless, then automatically it will take you to the next step of being with the true self, which is God himself. So that's about the name Om Shri Sai Varadaya Namaha. That's also to be very careful. One thing I missed it. The thing is, he gives all boons. Whatever you ask, he give. So we have to be careful on what we are asking. Because sometimes we ask something that we are thinking it's going to be good, but that's totally bad for us. That is also possible.
And that may be part of the lesson, right? Part of our journey.
That's a lesson.
I think one of the things stressed in here too was divine timing, because maybe there's something that you really want, but it's not your time. And
Yeah.
so Bhagwan kind of guides you through that journey and shows you other things that are, just as good, and then eventually guides you to that place once you sort of learn those lessons and understand that, Bhagwan's timing is perfect for everything.
Absolutely. You got it. Actually, that's the most important. In fact, one small story, and then we can, I think it's time, 2 minutes. So what we have to be very careful in asking. Somebody wanted to go on a Mercedes Benz, looks like. They wanted to have the Mercedes Benz car. Oh, it's so good to go in that one. So they just gone, and then a few years later, then Swami was going in the car, and another person was there. They had a discussion, and then that person died actually after that. Then a few years later, when Swami was going, and then one Mercedes Benz car was going on the other side. Then Swami looked at it, and there was a little dog there. Then Swami said, hey, that is that person who said he wants to go in the Mercedes Benz. So the problem is that he asked that he wanted to go, but not a dog. But unfortunately, Swami doesn't mind. You ask for it, I give you. But how I give you, what I give you, it's all big things. So it's better to. And some people pray in a way that, hey, Swami, you know the best, so you give whatever you want. So I will accept. There is another way of saying it. I will accept whatever you give. That is kind of a little bit of a surrender as well. Finally, is it accepting everything, whatever happens is his divine will. So that is also way of growing towards. All these names, one important thing it reminds us whenever we are going through it, we also have some, people say, hey, I have some difficulties. Should I ask God? Some people who are, some devotees used to, Krishna, can I do this? Can I ask Swami this one? You can ask Swami everything. Nobody is going to say no to it, right? It's between you and your Swami, that's all. You ask anything and he's going to give. The only thing is that it is, time will come by itself that you will, as you said, that divine time, that time you will know that, okay, I don't need anything. It is like a pendulum. We are going like a pendulum. We make a decision, but then again we fall. We make a decision, we make faults, again fall. Finally, at the time that you are going to completely rely on him. And that's the total acceptance and surrender. There is no difference between surrender and total acceptance of whatever the divine will is.